Good morning, everybody, and happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to PSG of Mercer County. If you're visiting us for the first time and wiping your eyes because there's colorful flowers on my shirt, that's not an illusion. Your eyes are fine. Yeah, we do celebrate Aloha Friday. It's the Hawaiian Casual Friday. So welcome everyone to our virtual meeting, PSG of Mercer County. And we do like to celebrate, like all groups, we like to celebrate landings. If we were all together, I'm sure we would be celebrating a landing on National Boston Cream Pie Day. So today is National Boston Cream Pie. And I think when I go out later, maybe I'll get a Boston cream donut or something to titillate my taste buds. So if you want to go celebrate with something sweet and fun, you might just want to do that. PSG of Mercer County, the professional service group of Mercer County, we're a group that's here for you. Anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And it doesn't really matter why you're in a career transition. Sometimes it's because your company had some kind of reorganization. That happened to me twice in my career. Other times you're taking your career in your own hands. It's time for you to move on or move along or do something different. Or maybe you're re-entering the workforce because you had a family obligation, taking care of children or older parents or anything else like that. And it doesn't really matter. What we are here for is to provide you information, guidance, a little bit of entertainment, but a lot of resources to help make you and your job search a bit more efficient and effective. Among the things that we do have is our LinkedIn group. So please go to LinkedIn and look for our LinkedIn group. It is called PSG of Mercer County. So just search for that in the groups box. And then when you find the group, if you are not yet a member, click the join button and we will actually put you in pending status. And the reason why is I always check the meeting attendance, whether it's the current meeting or prior meetings, to see if anyone who's requested has attended our meeting before, because what I'm trying to do is just keep out the list collectors and name collectors, people that just want to join groups for their own benefit. Our group has over 1,600 members. They are all people that have attended at least one of our meetings. So a good chance they are job seekers. They understand the process. They're typically willing to help. So they'll be good connections for you. Even if these people in our group are not yet first-degree connections to you, anybody in a group you are able to connect to them in LinkedIn and send them messages. You can send the message even if they're not a first-degree connection. So groups are very powerful for leveraging your network. We do also have a website. Our website is also called PSG of Mercer County, psgofmercercounty.org. It has over 120 pages of content. One of the things that is very powerful, a lot of people have appreciated, in our professional development tab, right at the top, professional development, there is a link for e-learning, and we now have links to 42 e-learning websites. So if you're interested in picking up a new skill, brushing up on a skill, maybe you've got a skill that is like a software product, but you need the new one, not the old one. If this training is out there, you can surely find it, I'm sure, through these e-learning sites. So if people ever ask you, do you know where I can find some e-learning? Just direct them to our webpage. There are 42 different sites there. A lot of them are free. They are completely free. Some of them do require a subscription, so see if that's right for you. And some of them are a per class charge. You don't have to sign up, but you just have to sign up for that one class rather than the entire subscription. So go check it out. But it's one-stop shopping for you to find 42 different e-learning sites. And think about it. When you go on your next interview, if you get a question, so what have you been doing since you lost your job those few months ago? Well, you can certainly tell them, yes, I've been job hunting, and that's obviously the truth. But you could also tell them, I've been taking some online classes to improve my skills. That's a much more powerful answer than just letting them know you've been job hunting. If there are any landings, if anyone has landed today, put that in chat. Just let us know. We can give you some virtual applause. The chat is a button in the upper right on your screen, at least if you're on Windows. I'm not sure what the Mac version, the Apple version looks like, but in the upper right, looks like a little cartoon call out, a circle with a little tab on the end, and that's the kind like cartoon characters would be talking. So in there, if you want to put some contact information or if you want to celebrate, just let us know that you've landed or you're close to being, being hired, some good interviews, we can celebrate with you. Also, we will use chat for our Q&A. This group does tend to draw a large attendance, so if we all kind of unmute and shout out questions, it could be a little uncomfortable for us, a little challenging. So use chat for questions. If you have a question for Lynn or for anyone else in the group, put the word question and then type your question. So actually enter or type the word question ahead of the question you're putting in. And the reason why is there's going to be a lot of comments and other content in the chat. And if I see the word question, or Lynn does, we could target right away that that's a question that she wants to address and answer. So we don't want to miss your question. So just ask that you do that. And so that's basically it. So in just a moment, I will be turning over the meeting to Lynn, and she's got the screen available to us right now. Remember, do keep your microphones on mute, please, so we eliminate any accidental background noise. Every once in a while, I don't know, a loud truck may drive by, or the leaf blowers. 2 days ago, one of my neighbors was having a roof done, so the second roof in the neighborhood, so we would have heard bang, bang, bang if that was happening. So we want to just minimize that. And remember, when you use chat for question, just precede your question with the word question. And so with that, we are just ready to introduce Lynn and say, I'm just very pleased this morning to welcome Lynne M. Williams. Lynne Williams is a Doctor of Education candidate. She is the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Area Great Careers Group, an all-volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides career education and networking connections for job seekers in career transition, including veterans, employed and self-employed for career management. In addition, Lynn is also the owner of Around the Clock Executive Helper, a writer of resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Lynn presents unique research-based workshops on LinkedIn, resumes, the applicant tracking system, the art of in-person and online networking, and other career-related social media and technology topics. She is currently working on and writing her doctoral dissertation and is a contributing author to Find Your Fit, a practical guide to landing the job you love, along with the late Dick Bowles. He was the author of What Color Is Your Parachute? In addition, she writes a weekly career column in Vista.today, Montco.today, and Delco.today, and other publications with LinkedIn tips and more. Connect with her on LinkedIn with a personalized message and visit the Philadelphia Area Great Career Group website. PSG of Mercer County is always pleased to welcome our guardian angel, Lynne Williams.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. The inaugural presentation I did of this was just May of this year. So this is a fairly new presentation. I've only done it a couple times, and I hope you get some value out of this. In the chat, I put down my contact information and a whole bunch of links for the Philadelphia Area Great Careers Group, as well as the link to this deck. So my decks are Google Slides, and I integrate a lot of links into the decks, so it's better to access it live than it is from a PowerPoint or a PDF, because I do update it. Okay. Now I just have to figure out how to change the slide again.
Just click on the screen so the screen gets the attention.
Click on the screen.
Or whatever your normal process, or is it next?
There we go. Oops. Okay, I see it. It just came up. Bear with me. I got to go back one now. I'm going to go back to slide 2. Okay. So today's learning objectives, I've got 4 basic learning objectives, which are listed here. And I'm not going to take time to read them because they do come up as I go on. So learning objective number 1, I'm going to have a list of some key job search strategies, tactics, career management resources. Now, you know these are, normal things that you have to do to prepare for a job and manage your career. So you have to have a modern resume format. You don't want to have any objectives, references, and you don't want to have the word profile summary at the top, because if you do, you're wasting an entire line telling people what you want to be when you grow up. Am I looking at a resume for IT, marketing, finance, accounting, human resources? Tell people what it is that you want to be when you grow up. What is that targeted position? Number two, you need to optimize your LinkedIn profile, and you've got to have over 500 connections in order for the algorithm to play nice with you. And you've got to pack your LinkedIn profile with keywords in the strategic places where the algorithm will help get it out. You also need to have a prepared elevator pitch or a memory dart. And you know, if you've chatted with Alex Freund, you know that there's different pitches for different reasons. So I'm one of the people that likes the short and sweet pitch, which is the memory dart. And if you click on this link right here, it will take you to an article by Stephen Woodruff, who I learned about this from. And it is a 15-second, basically, elevator pitch, and it has a vivid image in it. So if I were to give you the short and sweet elevator pitch for me, it's I think it's 9 words, unless I've changed it. But I help you determine your keywords to beat the bots. So the bots thing is a vivid image that is in your mind, and you'll say, oh, well, what does that mean? And I could say, well, I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and I'm not your normal, you know, certified resume writer. That doesn't matter to me. It's all about the keywords. So I need to show you how to get to the keywords to beat the bots. So I'm I can't talk. I'm a resume writer who uses technology as the basis for my resume writing. Now, if I go back to the deck, you also have to have a networking plan, and you have to make networking a habit. So even though if you say I'm an introvert, or and it scares me to go to networking meetings, well, find a wingman or a wingwoman to help you out. And you need to track all your job search activity on a spreadsheet or CRM or something like that. Now, if you happen to be an introvert, if you want to hear a terrific presentation by Jane Finkel, who is an author, that is coming up on November 9th. And if you access, you know, the Philadelphia Area Great Careers Group website and Meetup and whatnot, we're just building the November events now. We're an all volunteer organization, so you know it'll happen soon. Now, the next thing is you need to try to share your expertise in some way, shape, or form. So write articles or blogs or give presentations to share your expertise. You know, if you don't like public speaking, try writing. You know, get yourself out there to share what it is that you know. You can also volunteer and seek out board positions. It's a great way to network, build camaraderie with other people who are like-minded, participating in a mission or a cause if it's a nonprofit. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book called The Go-Giver, but it definitely will enlighten you. And that was my inspiration back in 2013 when I was in job search for 11 and a half months. I read The Go-Giver, and that's when I started doing all these presentations. I started giving, and all of a sudden my network grew, and people could see, you know, the expertise that I had to share. And so I've made a lot of connections since then. In 2013, I had 211 connections. Now I have over 12,000 connections on LinkedIn. So it obviously is a strategy that I didn't know would work at the time, but it certainly does work. Next thing is you need to fine tune your interview and negotiating skills. So here are a couple of links to do interview practices. So this one is the Goodwill of Delaware. So if you scroll down to the bottom and you click on Interview Practice Tool, you can record yourself for free on that platform, and that'll give you some practice. And then here is Mr. Simon. There's somebody from PSG of Central New Jersey by the name of Natalie Lihakova, who has presented for us before. And she shared this platform that she's putting out, and right now it is free. Now, as far as negotiating salary, there's a guy that I invite every single year to do the same presentation, and I've probably heard it 11 or 12 times, because sometimes I've had him more than once. His name is Ford Myers, and the presentation is coming up on November 4th. If you have not heard Ford Myers, How to Negotiate Your Salary, it is absolutely fantastic. Next thing is you want to be a lifelong learner. So get involved in taking courses, just like David said. He's got all these e-learning resources. And on our website, we have the same thing too. Now, another thing you could do is when you go out and network in small groups, you could have something called a one-pager. So a one-pager is a document that allows you to share your overall expertise, and you put on your target companies down at the bottom. So in this case, I have higher education, LinkedIn, workforce development, etc. But it's a broad overview. It's not, you know, the full resume. It's a partial resume. So if you need an idea of how to do a one-pager, then you can just click on that link, and that will take you to the Philadelphia Area Great Careers Group website. And if I go down to the FAQs, I'm going to see, how do I create a one-pager? And it tells you that. And then, oh, what is a one-pager and why do I need one? So here's a PDF and a Word document. So if you just click on that, it'll pull it up. And okay, so you can open it with Google Docs, which would be here, or if you go to the top right, a lot of people don't know this. When they have their documents going into Google, you want to go to the top right and click this arrow, this download button, so that it stays as a Word document. You don't want to open it up with Google Docs. So I'm going to take a breath for a minute here. David, are there any questions in chat? If you could moderate that for me.
Sure. So one question is from Mike. Is the one-pager the same as a marketing plan?
Yes, there's different terms: handbill, marketing plan, networking plan, one-pager. I call it a one-pager. So yeah, that's basically what it is. This is not something you're going to give for a job interview. It is something that you're going to use in a small networking meeting, perhaps with other job seekers, even if it's online. You know, we have BENG meetings. BENG stands for Business Executives Networking Group. We took them on in May of 2020. And what it is it's a networking group like ours, but it's for mid to senior level executives and C-suite. So those folks who are members can attend and participate in networking with that level of people, but they can attend everything else at the Philadelphia Area Great Careers Group, but it's not opposite, vice versa. So we want to, you know, kind of separate and differentiate a different division. We also have another division, so to speak. It's called Nonprofit Career Network. And so anybody that has any interest in, being on a board, volunteering, or wants a career in nonprofits. So that's our third division at the moment. I hope that answered your question.
That seemed to, and that's the only one we have right now. Remember, we can use chat for questions.
All right, thank you. So this is another tactic that you can use. If you set up a Mailchimp account, it is absolutely free for up to 2,000 connections, and you can send, I believe, up to 12,000 emails out per month. However, you have to know what the CAN-SPAM Act of 2003 is, because if you violate it, it's something like $11,000 per violation. So you don't want to just add people to an email list that's spamming. You want to have people opt in, or you want to give them, have them have permission to opt in. You can't just email people in bulk. Now, Google Sites is another option where you can, build your own little site. David, don't you do that?
I actually, yeah, I do build websites, and I use Google Sites, Google Blogger, and of course other leading platforms. Thank you.
So Google Sites, David could hook you up with building like your own little mini website, and you could put your newsletter on that website, and then just use the link to share that with your network. But you can do other newsletters. I've seen people do Constant Contact and whatnot, but you have to pay for that. Now, how would you go about doing this? Here's an example email here. And if you were going to write a newsletter, there's some example sections of a newsletter. It's just a different job search strategy that you can try that's, above and beyond the norm. Now, another thing you could do is an informational interview. And this actually is an informational interview, and the questions that I had prepared when I was going to interview somebody inquiring about how do I get a position in career services in higher ed. So I scheduled this interview, and we went over time, but I asked permission. Should we keep talking? Should we schedule again? Or do you want to conclude this? I'll just go with the flow with whatever's comfortable for you. But I had pre-sent her the agenda of what I wanted to talk about. And so these were the types of questions. Now, if I click on this informational interview, this will take you to an article. And it has lots and lots of links in it to other articles. Any questions so far?
Not posted right now.
Okay, will you interrupt me when you do have something?
Yes,
I'm not looking at the chat. All right.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye. If I see a question or two, I'll just excuse myself, and we'll see if we can take it then.
All right. Okay, so another thing is you could send out a value proposition letter. That is something that I wrote about in this book, Find Your Fit, A Practical Guide to Landing a Job You Love. This was written with 15 other career coaches from around the country, and Dick Bowles, the author of What Color's Your Parachute, wrote the foreword. So this book is not something that I sell anymore. I ran out of my supply. I did sell them at one point in time when I came to the Princeton Library, but you can just go on Amazon and look for the book, or you can go on td.org, which is the short version of the Association of Talent Development. And that way you can compare some pricing on this. So a value proposition letter is something that you do not send your resume out with. It's just a value proposition letter. It's short, sweet, succinct, succinct, concise. It's about 100 to 150 words. And there is a very specific format for this. So here's an example. It says, are you looking for a way to boost your company morale and employee satisfaction? As a seasoned human resources general, noted that's bold, I spearheaded corporate interviews that directly influenced and promoted employee engagement and performance. My past accomplishments to reflect this include, and then you list 3 accomplishments. You can see the numbers, the metrics, those are bolded to bring attention. Now, do you think with the white spacing in between and something short and sweet with bold, do you think that's going to stand out and pop up so that somebody might actually read it? I think it might, compared to like a 4 or 5 paragraph cover letter. So this is just getting down to brass tacks, saying, what are your accomplishments? So if you want to learn how to write a value proposition letter, there is this document, and there's a whole bunch of links for this. Here's the basic format right here of the value proposition letter, etc. And there's another link here, which will take you to an article, a blog that I wrote on our website. Now, learning objective number 2, you need to know how to research your best keywords for both your resume and your LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is its own database, but each resume, each job is its own database of words, so to speak. So you've got 2 different sets of bots, but each job that you apply to, that's in another set of bots, another set of bots, another set of bots, each company. So how do you play the game? Well, first of all, should your resume and your LinkedIn be matchy-matchy? Here's an article, and I made a little chart. I actually need to update this headline because as of April, LinkedIn now allows 220 characters. But when I wrote this article, it was only 120 characters. So here's some things you can consider. But you've got something called the applicant tracking system, and
Excuse me,
you know,
Lynne.
sure.
Yeah, so Dara is asking, so just to confirm, how do we get a copy of the informational interview agenda page? That's a link in your presentation?
Yeah, in the deck, right.
Okay.
So in the chat, I put the all my contact information, and the very last link was this deck. And if David posts the deck, I think he might have done a PDF. Yes,
Yeah.
no?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and the links
So
should be active.
So, okay. So if the links are active on the PDF, great. If not, you'll see on the PDF, the very first link, it is case sensitive. You just go into a new browser, and type in that URL, and it will bring up this deck. The only thing that's going to be different is the cover page will no longer say PSG of Mercer County, and the events that I'm going to show you in a little bit will be different because I keep it updated. So for example, I'm actually doing this presentation again on Monday for my group, but it'll be a much smaller group, if people have more questions and whatnot. So, and then I'm doing the applicant tracking system presentation actually for job seekers of Montclair. I'm doing that on Wednesday night. So we're going to take a deep dive into this particular topic. I'm just going to give you a brief overview today. Now, the applicant tracking system, it's an automatic screener, and it helps the HR departments in big companies because sometimes they have an awful lot of applicants and they need to figure out from the bots who's got the right skills that match and for the job versus not. So what happens is your resume gets sent online. There's something called upload versus attach. So when you see the word upload, that's a very good indication that that is an applicant tracking system. And you're going to upload your resume. It's going to go through a parser. And what happens is a mathematical score is assigned due to something called contextualization. So contextualization is not only reading the keyword, but the words before and after the keywords. So in other words, the bots read entire phrases, and that's when you get a mathematical score. So you've probably heard of jobscan.co. They do some freebies for you, and they also charge, I think, $49.95 a month or $89.95 for 3 months usage. It is an excellent platform, but I don't know it's the be-all end-all, cure-all situation, but it will give you some very good information. And what happens is you put your resume on one side, you put the job description on the other side, and it will make a comparison. So jobscan.co says, oh, you need to be 80% or above. Well, there are humans in the human resources department, and we are in COVID times. So there are numerous people that are applying for the same job right now. And basically, you have to have that competitive edge in some way, shape, or form. So if, for example, your mathematical score comes in at 95%, but originally 1,200 people applied for the job. So you come in at 95%, and that takes it down to, 300 people. So if human resources says, I don't have time to look at that many resumes, I'm going to ask for the parameters to be set at 97% and above. Well, that brought it down to 124 people. Well, I want it to be a match at 99% and above. Okay, that brought it down to 13 people. So even though you have a very high percentage score, 95% versus JobScan says 80, there are humans in the human resources department, and if they do know how to use the software, they can set parameters on this. Now, many HR people that I've talked to said they don't do that. They'll just, look at a big, pile of resumes and screen. So everybody has their own style. There's no right way or wrong way per se, but just know that this does or can exist. So you want to make sure that you've done your homework and you've matched your keywords the best as possible. So here's some examples of how I'm going to go about taking a job description. And I put some live links in here to take you through the journey. So when I first presented this for Penn State in May, there was this job that I found on LinkedIn. Now you would think from May till now, it has been filled. And of course, the job is no longer online. So this is a perfect example here. You'll see that job, that link does not come up, right? So what if you were applying for a job in March and it was one of those OMG, what a good fit of a job, is perfect match for my skill set. But because of the pandemic, maybe the company put all their hiring practices on hold for a few months until they saw what was going on in the world. Well, if they took this job down and if they got plenty of resumes for that posting back in March, And now all of a sudden, they're going to call you. Well, here's this job description. Did you capture it? Do you know how to prepare for the interview? Do you know what that job description said? Well, if you didn't do that and capture it electronically, then no, you have not got that job description. You can't prepare. So here's what I would do. Here's my step-by-step instructions for word art. But what I want to do is I want to show you that I use Google Docs, and I would suggest you use a Google Doc for each job that you apply to. So I actually copied and pasted the job before it got removed, and it was for a sales support manager of facilities for Aramark. So here's the brief paragraph about Aramark. That has nothing to do with the job description, but here's the job description. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to highlight it as I carefully read the job description. And I'm like, oh, well, what are the actual keywords? What do I have to weave in to my resume from the job description so I get that matchy-matchy? So I carefully read and I highlighted in yellow, facilities management, engineering, strategic planning services. You know, this is a lot of good stuff. Now, I also took this whole job description and I put it into wordart.com, and I got the top keywords, and this happened within a second, and this is a free tool. Anything that's free for job seekers or low cost, it's a win for me. So I also push visualize, and now I can see a visual of this particular job description and see what are the keywords that are most important that I absolutely positively must weave into my resume or put in my core competencies and skills section. So I want to show you how to do that live. So I'm going to snag this job description here. It doesn't matter that it has the yellow highlights, except that my mouse is not working here. All right, so I'm going to right click and copy, and then I'm going to go to wordart.com, and you can establish a WordArt account for free. So I use WordArt for two purposes. One, for making banners or articles, images, but I also use it to analyze job descriptions as a quick down and dirty free tool. So I have my account set up here already. So I'm just going to click create now, and then I'm going to click create. I'm going to click import, and I'm going to right click paste. Now, this is the whole job description right here. I want to remove common words. I don't want a, and the, so I want to leave that one checked. I want to remove numbers. Numbers really have no meaning for me right now, but I want to uncheck stemming. Why? Because stemming has to do with a root word. Strategic is a root word of strategically, for example. So I want to match it exactly according to the job description. Now I'm going to click import words, and in 1 second, there is the analysis that I just showed you, and I'll just take a screenshot. So if you have a Mac, I go Shift Command 4. If you have a PC, I think there's something called a snipping tool, or there's you know, many other tools that you can use to get some sort of a screenshot, just so you can capture that. Now, do I want to get more than one page? That's up to you. So I can get screenshots, you know, all the way down to the onesies right here. But I really focus mainly on the first page. Strategic is a big, big word. It's used 13 times in this job description. Proposal 13 times, etc. So I want to be able to use these words in my job application and resume and customize it that way. Going back, one other thing, because I have a premium account on LinkedIn, I also copied this from LinkedIn. It says, what are the top 10 skills? And these top skills are something that LinkedIn asks the hiring manager, the poster, whoever puts the ad online, tell us the 10 skills that are most important for this person to have. So in this case, customer service, management, sales, leadership, marketing, Microsoft Office, social media, team building, business development, CRM. And so I have these 10 words exactly as is listed on my LinkedIn profile in my skills and endorsements section. So I have that matchy. Okay, so that's the matchy with the bots that can help me tool and get these words on my core competencies of my LinkedIn profile. So let me go back a few slides, and I want to show you what that means. I don't remember what slide it is, so we're on 14 now. Oh, I didn't get to it yet. Okay. All right, I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit. So those
So we
10
also have a question, Lynn, if I may.
Sure.
So this is from Michael. For managing a job search and networking, you mentioned using either Excel or a CRM. Do you have any recommendation on a CRM or app which can be adapted to networking management and job search?
Yes. So I've never used them because I have my own systems. But for an individual, you could try Zoho.com. That might be a possibility. I use the old spreadsheet. Actually, I use Google Sheets because then that way I can access and pull up my information anywhere because I have the Google app on my phone. All right. So those 10 words that I showed you that were in part of the job description on LinkedIn Premium, I would put them in the job or in the resume in this core competency section so that I am doing that matchy. And then the other words that I highlighted in yellow, I might weave them in somewhere in the resume or put them in the core competency section or in the title or something like that. So you have to have a base resume, and you take your base resume and you go file, save as ABC company, 10/23/20, file, save as XYZ company, 10/24/20, etc. So you have to know on a base resume what's a really good solid set of words that you can at least start with before you take it and you customize it for other positions where you're going to match for the jobs. So if you can see this particular setup with these shaded blue lines, which I'll talk about in a minute because I'm going to go back to the other slide, but this top part is really the 6 to 15 seconds that the hiring manager is going to look visually at your resume, and they better see that you've got the goods to solve their problem and their pain points right there, the top half of an 8.5 by 11-inch page. So these core competencies you can see are in alphabetical order. And if the person picks up that they're in alphabetical order, they're going to do something called nonlinear reading. And they're going to read, oh, strategic partnerships, oh, customer service, oh, budgets and forecasting. Okay, those are major qualifications of the job. Oh, and they also have this and this and this and this and this. But there are the must-haves. And what you've just done is you've taken the keywords from the job description, you've mirrored it in the customized resume, and you're mirroring what hopefully are the must-haves for that particular job. So I just messed that up and I have to go back. So I'm going to go back
so
to slide
another
14.
question, Lynn.
Yep.
From Mike. Even though your resume matches the requirements, in parentheses, using all techniques in your presentation, doesn't the hiring manager see through this so he can hire the right person? Your comments.
I'm not exactly sure that I understand the question, but you may have human resources involved. You may have just the hiring manager. You don't know who's looking at your resume. So you have online applications, and then you have something called email attachments, because that's really all we've got right now. I don't know that we're doing too much snail mail. So you've got to have somebody that if they look at the resume, they might want to interview you because they're just doing a visual scan of an email attachment. So it has to be appealing to the human eye, and it has to pop out in some way, shape, or form. That's why I don't believe in black and white resumes. They don't pop in any way, shape, or form. I think you have to have a little bit of color. So if you go to colorpsychology.org, you will see that blue has more positive than negative intonations, but you can't take those blue bands and think that it's going to work on all applicant tracking systems. When you are dealing with an ATS resume, you have to completely deconstruct it. It must be black and white. And for all the research that I've done, it should be all Arial 12-point font, left justified, no bold, no italics, no charts, tables, nothing. It's just bare bones. That's what you use for the bots. But for the human eye, you need to have some little pop of color, in my humble opinion, because it is, we're living in a visual society. We need something to draw our eyes, and our brain will draw attention to that particular section. So it's like a PowerPoint. You're going to tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and you tell them what you just told them. You can't do that last part on LinkedIn. You can't do that last part on the resume. But just like LinkedIn, you have sections, about section, work experience, volunteer, professional associations. So it's the same thing on your resume. You want to have those sections, but you got to make them pop some way. It pops on LinkedIn because LinkedIn's made it standardized for everybody. But if you have a plain black and white resume, it's just not going to pop. Okay, so this next link here is Google Sheets. So how do I analyze words from a job description, and how do I come up with words for a base resume? So here's a little chart, and you can see that I started putting some numbers in here, and then I look up people's current LinkedIn words, and I see what kind of number of jobs there are. So you would not know, perhaps off the top of your head, if you are a project manager, you don't know whether project manager or project management is a better term to use. You don't know if you're in finance, whether it's budgets, or budgeting. It doesn't matter what it is it does matter what it is on LinkedIn, because you want to use the best version or synonym or iteration, whatever you want to call it, of the word. But for the job description, it must match exactly. So if by chance, let me go to LinkedIn, what I'm going to do, I have this page up. Let me just show you this. I'll do it later. So here's the job tab. if I go to type in budgeting, and I want Greater Philadelphia area, and I click search, budgeting has 4377. If I go back and I do budgets, 5226. If I do budget, 4546. So here's the, oh, I spelled it wrong. Talk about a little give and take there. 4546. So the word budgets used to be less than budget, but now it is more. And this is a trend in the past few months where it's just changed. I was very surprised about this. So if your job description says budgeting, you need to use budgeting in your resume. But on LinkedIn, you should be using budgets. Not always, you know, it's really a balance of kind of an art and science with the data. So this is like the best version of this word. But if you have a soft skill like team, well, what should you use? Team player, team leader, team manager, team management, team leadership, cross-functional teams, team builder, teams building. Like if you only had one use of the word, how do you know what the best word is to use in LinkedIn in your skills and endorsements section? It doesn't matter, you know, what you use on LinkedIn, you've got to choose the best word, but whatever's used on the job description, if it says cross-functional teams, then bam, you've got to do that and use that word in your core competencies or skills section. So let me take you to my standard example. Project manager is 2398 versus project management is 7460. So there's more people using the term project management than project manager. So you have to put yourself in the shoes of the recruiter who's looking for somebody that has that skill. So you need to, when in Rome, do as the Romans. And, you know, I would tend to more towards use the project management than project manager, though you should use both. You know, there's no question about that. However, I want to show you something. A client told me he does he's a 1031 exchange accommodator. Well, there's 0 in the greater Philadelphia area. And in the United States, there's still 0. So even though that is the lingo that he is used to using, that is not in LinkedIn's database. So he should not be using that word in his LinkedIn profile as a skill and endorsement. So let me take the word accommodator out. And you see how there's a little down menu? So excuse me, LinkedIn is telling you that there are a few standard things that are in their database, and it's 1031 exchanges, 1031 exchanges escrow officer, First American, etc. So let me go with the flow and choose this one. In the United States, there are 28 jobs. Now that's not a lot. You may say, oh, I shouldn't use that word. No, I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead and use that word because you have a very unique skill set. You have expertise in a specific area, and you want to show that you know how to do 1031 exchanges. So you are an expert in your field, and so you have to have a balance of the more as well as the niche. So you've probably heard me say this before, if you've heard me speak before, riches in niches. So if you have this little slice of the pie that is your area of expertise, then you need to toot your horn about that, because obviously there's not a lot of people in the United States that are using this word 1031 exchanges. Does that make sense? And do we have any questions?
There is a question just on a prior point, if we can. It's from Chi
Sure.
Wen. So you have a black and white resume for bots and a better looking one for humans, but wouldn't the human one have to look at the bot resume sooner or later?
Not necessarily. So when you have an applicant tracking system, and like the big ones are iSIMS and Workday, and Taleo, okay? So if, for example, you wanted to apply to Del Boomi uses Workday. So they're a big company, and you're going to submit your application online to Del Boomi because you're going to see the word upload. So that's where you want to use your black and white basic resume, deconstructed resume, as I call it. And it'll go through the parser and come out the other end, and it'll do the mathematical scoring, etc. Now, at the end of your application, you are going to attach your pretty resume when it says, do you want to attach any documents? So that's when you attach your pretty resume. So if the parser scans your document when you upload it, then what happens is it will be mathematically scored. And if it's a match, the HR person on the other end might hand a specific pile of documents to the hiring manager. So you have to be able to play nice with the bots and kind of know the art and science of how to get around and match the keywords, but you also should be networking your way into your next job. You should absolutely positively try to network your way into your next job. So even if you were to establish a relationship with the hiring manager or somebody in the company who might give an employee referral, and they might actually earn money for an employee referral by walking the resume, down the line to the hiring manager, the HR department's going to say, hey, you need to come back and upload your resume to our system because they have EEOC requirements that they've got to account for. Are you a veteran? Are you a minority? And whatnot. So that system, that ATS system, analyzes that data at the get-go. But somebody could say, hey, pull this resume out after they apply online. I know I went off in a couple different directions. Did that answer your question, Chi Wen?
Well, let's assume that it did, and we can move on.
Okay. All right. So here I have these words, and I have to get my little windows out of the way here so I can manage. So I already looked up these words. This was whatever last time in August that I did this presentation. So if I have the word sales and I want the greater Philadelphia area, so what I'm going to do is go to the jobs tab again, and I'm going to put sales and greater Philadelphia. And I'm going to click search. And there's 24,067 jobs available. And then if I put in flexible, I typically tend more towards hard skills than soft skills, but I will throw in a couple soft skills for sure. 24,930. So basically what I can do is I have all these words, and let's just say I have numbers to all these things. In Google Sheets, I can click on data, sort range, A to Z, and all of a sudden, I've got most to least. Here's 64,000, 24,000, 17,000, 17. Oh, why did that do that? Hold on. I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing. Data, sort range, my bad. I want column B and I want Z to A, most to least. There we go. So what they did is it just took my whole list, and I'm able to do a data analysis and say, well, what's the best word that I want to use? You know, look at this. Sales is now 24,067. When I last looked it up in August, it was 17,000. So this tells me that there's new trends here, that people are hiring salespeople because they need new business. But even though I've got sales manager, sales process, I could have sales management, I need to know the best use of the word in various places in LinkedIn. Now, the same thing is I want to look up LinkedIn words. So maybe somebody typed a word wrong. Apparel, okay? Maybe they spelled it wrong. So if I were to go into LinkedIn and paste this in, 1726. And I have had clients, oops, that's not really big, is it? I have had clients who have had spelling errors, and that's a problem. So let's just do this, apparel. Oh, look at that, it was forgiving. Sometimes it does catch, you know, different versions of spelling, and sometimes it does not. So it's interesting. In this case, it was the same thing. But if by chance you do have the word apparel, if that's part of what you do to make a living, maybe you do supply chain or something like that, then you definitely want to make sure that you've got correct spellings of the words. Now I'm going back to this particular slide, and here's the article, How to Make a Word Cloud for LinkedIn. So if you wanted to use this on your LinkedIn profile, on an article, on a post, you know, there's all kinds of word cloud generators. And then here's the step-by-step. I don't know what happened to the bullet points here. I'll have to go in and fix that. But I want to take you into WordArt so I can show you how you can control this platform and make your own banner. So if I click create, and I'm not going to import words this time, I'm going to put in internal auditor and accounting, audit, finance, whoops. Okay, I just put in 4 words, for example. But internal auditor, let's say that's the job that I really want to go for. If I just make the weight of this, I'll make that a 10. And then audits, I'll make that an 8. And then I'm going to click on shapes. And I want to do geometric. And see down here when I hover over this little square, there's a little wheel. But you're not going to see that wheel if I don't hover over the square. So I want to click on that wheel, and a LinkedIn banner is basically a 4-to-1 ratio. So if you just slide this across, and you're going to get a something that looks like a LinkedIn banner. All right, and then if I choose a font, I click on fonts. Let's say I want traveling typewriter. and I click on layout, I can have all the words horizontal, vertical, etc. I'm just going to choose horizontal this time. And then if I want the colors, do I really want green and blue and mint? No. So I'm going to click on the word custom. And in this case, I might want red, white, and blue. So I'm going to take this little white bubble on this bar and click on blue. Then I can move this little black button over here and say I like that color blue. I'm going to add to palette. Now I'm going to take the white bubble and move it over to red. And let's say I want that color red. I add to palette. And let's say I want to have a gray and add to palette. So now I just click, 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 and that gets rid of the other colors, and I hit close. So now when I hit visualize, it will come up with a banner. And if I say, oh, I really like that, then I want to change this word art and call it internal auditor banner 1. Sometimes it could take like 40 minutes or so to get something that you like. You just keep clicking, 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 because it's absolutely positively random. Now, let's say I want to click visualize again, because I've already saved this one. And maybe I don't want internal auditor as gray. Maybe I wanted a different, yeah, that's just a little bit too much red. Maybe I want internal auditor blue. Let's see if that comes up. I don't know how many times it'll, there we go. Now let's say I like that one. I have to change this up here to 2, internal auditor banner 2. Now I have to save, and it's going to come up with, do you want to save it as new or you want to rename? Well, in this case, I want to save it as new. So why is that? Well, I now can go, and let me refresh my screen here. Now I have internal auditor 1 saved and internal auditor banner 2 saved, and I could choose between the 2, or I could keep on going. So if you don't save your work as you go, you will never ever get exactly the same thing because it's all random as you click. Do we have any questions so far, David?
No, not at this time, thank you. We can move on.
So this is a slide that spent a lot of time on because of all these links, but it's the demo part here that hopefully will help you with some job search strategies. So learning objective number 3 is, how do you take your base resume and customize it to match the keywords in job descriptions before applying to the ATS? Now, I already showed you this is how I do my resumes. You know, this is it, standard shaded blue lines. And I try to go 2 pages, and I will try to go back on the resume 12 to 15 years-ish, but every individual is different. If somebody's been working at a job for 20, 25, 30 years, we don't cut them off in the middle of that particular job, but we can put on early career or other experience or something like that. But I do like this format of this resume, and where did I get it from? I got it from this article. So Business Insider did a recap of a research study done by the Ladders. Okay, so here's the Ladders, and it says, you know, recruiters spend 6 to 15 seconds looking at a resume. So they did a study with where do recruiters' eyes go looking at a resume, and they came up with these heat maps. So on the resume on the left, you can see that the blobs or the heat maps go down about 2/3 of the way, and that is a black and white resume. But on the right, the one that has the shaded bands, the recruiter's eyes went from top to bottom. And that's because those bands pop out a little bit. But you can't use that format or that style in an ATS resume. but at least I tell you my why I do what I do. Now, the next thing is when you deconstruct your resume, you want to take it down to an Arial 12-point font and have it all left justified, take out all the bolds, the italics, the charts, the tables, etc. And the only symbol that I put in is solid black bullet points based upon the research that I've done. Now, I call core competencies on a resume, but I change the word to skills on the deconstructed resume, and I move that to the very end of the document, because typically the ATS systems, they'll look for skills last. And I keep in the headline, just like it, matches on LinkedIn, and then put the value proposition in. So if you want to read this article, all right, this has all the points as to how best to manage the applicant tracking system and tips and tricks and strategies and whatnot. So this is the presentation I'm going to go do live for job seekers of Montclair on Wednesday, the 28th at 7 p.m. Learning objective number 4, be able to prepare a portfolio presentation to differentiate yourself from others in the job interview. So if you have taken the time, like if you are absolutely positively certain that you need to do something than what other people are doing to make yourself stand out for the job, then you might check this out. This book is by Eric Kramer. It's called Active Interviewing. It's like $10 or something like that on Amazon. And it really is a terrific book. I've read it cover to cover. I've annotated it, highlighted it. And Eric actually has a website. It's called interviewbest.com. And I think he might have, like, you get $1 or something like that for the first month. And I know he's working on improving this site, but he's got some system. I've never actually used this system. I've only used the concept of the portfolio presentation from this, because I wasn't in job search when I discovered this. So what is a portfolio presentation? What's in it? Well, you can do it electronically, obviously, but if you actually have an in-person interview, mask or no mask, you would want to leave them something behind, and you could get it printed out and get it bound at Staples with the clear cover and the little spiral bound things. So things that you could put in this are an overview of you or the job, your resume, cover letter, transcripts, certifications and clearances, and your recognitions, if you're in the news, your publications, your letters of recommendation, etc. Now, here is an example of what I created when I applied to Gwynedd Mercy for their part-time education certification officer. So if you click on this link right underneath, this will take you to the Google slide deck. So I did it electronically, but I also printed it out and took it in person about a year ago. And as you can see, I did not get the job. But I am a student at Gwynedd Mercy, and it's probably because they knew how much work it was and they wanted somebody who could focus on the job. So here were the requirements, all those requirements, and then what are my outstanding career and personal accomplishments? And then what are my personal traits that help me succeed on the job? And what's my strategic action plan for providing value quickly for this position? So what I did was I mirrored the job description and put in my qualifications. As another example, I applied for Montgomery County Community College. They had a part-time career coach available. And here's another Google slide presentation. I guess the other one was a PowerPoint. This is Google slide. Wait till it populates here. And I can click present. So these are the requirements of the job. I didn't put too much on a page. Here are my areas of expertise. Here's my outstanding career and personal accomplishments and traits that help me succeed on the job, my action plan, why hire me. So this was just, something special that I could leave behind, and I did print it out. But if you're interviewing online, if you make it on Google Docs or Google Slides, then you can just attach the link and with your thank you letter, thank you for interviewing me. I would like to show you a little bit more why I feel like I'm a good fit for the position. Any questions so far?
Nothing posted right now. And remember, you can put your questions in chat and just precede it with the word question so it stands out for me as we look.
Okay. So here are some upcoming speaking engagements that I have, in case you want to know about it. Right now, I'm teaching a 5-part LinkedIn strategies at Princeton Adult School. I taught it last spring. I'm teaching it now, and I'm teaching it this coming spring. And you could still honestly get value from it by, jumping in at any time. For these 5 sessions, even though two are down, because I do have an electronic curriculum guide, so to speak, and we can get you caught up in some way, shape, or form. As I say, Monday, I'm doing this particular presentation again. So if you know somebody that should see this because you got value out of it, I'm doing it from 9 to 11 a.m. and there's the link. Here's the Beating the Applicant Tracking System. November 19th, I'm doing the Beating the Applicant Tracking System again. And November 28th, I'm doing LinkedIn Part 3 of 3. December 5th, Part 1 of 3. And then in 2021, I do these 3-hour workshops, and the schedule is now set on a consistent schedule. It will be the 3rd Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So this will be the 8th year that I'm teaching LinkedIn for the Chester County Library. And believe it or not, all 9 hours of this LinkedIn workshops are all free. So it's LinkedIn Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, and it is all on Zoom. Now, here's where I do my quick little commercial. So this is for the Philadelphia Area Great Careers Group. This is not for me. This is for the nonprofit. So we have a membership, and David runs like 52 events or so a year. We run about 600 or so events online a year. It used to be 1,000 in person. And because we're an all volunteer nonprofit, David is the man here who is spending money out of his own pocket to bring these tools and these meetings to you. We can't do that. So what we do is we charge a very small membership fee. We have $35 a year, or for the senior leadership, it's $49 a year. And you get all these career goodies. And instead of paying $5 for our speaker meetings to support the nonprofit, you can go a whole year for free by participating. And I don't know anybody that has not, felt they've gotten more than their value. So if you went to 8 of our meetings at $5 a piece, you would have paid more than the membership and missed out on this whole entire career goodie basket. This remote and other job links, articles, and online resources, that particular document took me hours and hours to put together. So if your time is very valuable, you will appreciate all those links. Then, oops, there's my contact information. I have, if it's regarding the nonprofit, here's my director email. If it's regarding resumes and LinkedIn profiles, that's my for-profit email. There's my URL. That's the nonprofit phone number. You can book a call with me. Can't just call me up because look at this. If somebody called me right now, I can't talk because I'm presenting. But here's my other speaking topics and all these links to these social media icons are all live links. So you can just click on that, follow my blogs. And then if you were to take your phone and you were to open up your camera app and hold it up to this QR code, what would happen is this deck would pop up right here on your phone. But you do want to use this bit.ly link, and it is all case sensitive. So there's no uppercase in this particular link, and that will get you to this document. And I did put that in the chat earlier. So how do you get to our events? If you click on this, this last slide is the most important one. So here are our website events. We're still loading up November events. We're an all-volunteer organization, so there's a lot of people that are involved in building these things. We have Salesforce as our CRM. We have to get it on the website. We have to get it on the Meetup. We have to get it lots of different places. So if you click on, let's say you wanted to come to Monday's event, here it is, how to develop successful job search strategies. You have to wait to click it on the sweet little link there. It's much better on desktop than it is on mobile, but I can't help it. It's the plugin. And then it'll say, go ahead and register here. And this will get you to all our Malvern meetings on Mondays. Some are career success groups, which just talking, small group, and others, once a month, we have a speaker. So you just click on here and you register and you're in our Salesforce system. And then we have this career at events. This is a Google Doc, and I update this constantly. So here's the links to get into all our systems, and you can see that I put in, somebody else was running our meeting today, and then here's all the things that are coming up. So some of the links will not be live yet for November, but we will get there. They're in process of being built right now. And then the next thing is we have this, and this will take you to our Meetup. So you have to be a member of our Meetup, and we put the Zoom links in for our free meetings, but we still want you to register. And then, there's the Meetup. That's the same thing as the one above. And that's it. So let me get out of some of these links here. And what questions can I answer? I think this is the last of my slides. Yeah.
So we've gotten a lot of thank yous, and you're an unending wealth of information. Huge thank you to Lynn. So we got a lot of thank yous. So appreciate everyone for that good sentiments to Lynn. There's one comment, this was a wonderful presentation. It's a little overwhelming. So what you can do, of course, is refer back to the PowerPoint presentation that Lynn gave, and also the video of this, which will be up later today. It won't be up early. It takes a little processing time. And you can rewatch any particular section that you want, or any particular learning objective that you want, because Lynne gave great advice on those different learning objectives. So you can always go back to those. So Lynne, thank you so much. You are
Sure.
always a wealth of information, as one of our members has said, and always so giving of your time. It's clear from all the PowerPoints and meetings and spreadsheets that you update on a periodic basis, or often. You're a very busy person. And so we're always so glad, as our guardian angel, that you come and visit us a few times a year. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Happy to do that. Happy to share. I remember there was something I wanted to show you, and I said, oh, I'll show that to you later. So here's my activity on LinkedIn. If you go to my articles, this article on Black Lives Matter, you will learn a little bit about me. Somebody was talking about being related to presidents. I'm actually a descendant of John Adams and the wife of John Quincy Adams. So I explain that in this particular article because they were the only two presidents in the first 12 presidents that didn't have slaves.
Now, does that mean you can get us a tour?
No,
No,
definitely no tours.
Okay, not enough degrees.
Oh, wait a minute. One other thing. Oh my goodness, I want to share this. This is there's something fun I do every Friday. I think it's Nancy Arison and Scott Boudreau. I seem to be on this call. So let me just show you what this is. This is the article in Vista.today that I wrote till 3-something this morning. It's how to use hacks at your virtual events for a fun factor. All right. So LinkedIn had a live marketing event yesterday to talk about LinkedIn events, and Kenneth Lang was on that. So here are my notes from the event. Oops. And then my mouse is not cooperating here. So here are some audience engagement ideas and other hacks if you're going to be getting involved in doing any online meetings. So you can do annotation on Zoom, breakout rooms, there's games, et cetera, et cetera. And then event management platform, virtual training, webinar, online software, and more, remote tools. So I have some lists here and some links, online learning to enhance your skills. Every Wednesday, I am on with Dotto Tech. This guy's from Vancouver, Canada. He is just phenomenal. I learned so many tech skills from this guy, Steve Dotto. And then every Friday today at 5 o'clock, I will be on nomoorebadzoom.com. And I just bring my bottle of wine and my glass, and I participate in this platform. And it's so doggone much fun. I meet people from around the world. I actually got speakers from just participating on this platform. So I met some really cool people from around the world. And
I would think if you drink too much of the wine, then there is bad Zoom.
Well, it is actually run by Robbie Samuels. And as you can see, he has his pride flag. He is a queer transgender virtual event design consultant, and he is just fun as all get out. And he provides lessons on Zoom, so everybody gets to be, you know, a co-host and whatnot. I've learned a lot of really great tips, you know, from him, as well as I've made a lot of good new acquaintances and found some speakers.
Terrific.
So,
well,
yeah.
Good. Great. So great. Thank you so much. Let me just also let everyone know what's coming up over the next couple of weeks right here at PSG of Mercer County and a few of our other groups that we like to talk about. Next week, we will be right back here online. Bart Jackson will be back. COVID and career realities, how to adapt and where opportunities lurk. So there are lots of disruptions, of course, in the marketplace and the workforce. COVID has been the biggest we've seen, I'm sure, in our lifetimes. So Bart's going to be talking about how to adopt and where career opportunities look. So that's next week, October 30th. You're welcome to wear a Halloween costume or bring some candy with you, some tricks and treats. That's all fine. It's a BYO, of course. The following week, November 6th, will be in November already. Joey Himmelfarb, our friend Joey Himmelfarb, will be back. The power of a positive attitude. And boy, is that needed now more than ever. Oops, please keep your microphones on mute just a couple more minutes. I hear a little background noise. And also coming up future weeks on Tuesday, October 27th, the New Jersey Job Seekers, the oldest continuously running job seeker support group in New Jersey, will be having their virtual meeting this afternoon. I will put their connection info in our PSG of Mercer County LinkedIn group. It's the same connection info that I've published each of the past couple of weeks, so if you have an old one, that's fine. Our good friends at PSG of Central New Jersey meet on Monday mornings at 10:30. Alex Freund will be presenting on Monday how to get found and market yourself on LinkedIn. And you can check out psgcnj.biz, psgcnj.biz online. And also PSG of Morris County, they meet each Wednesday morning, and you can check out their website, psgmc.org, psgmc.org. And so that's what we have coming up over the next couple of weeks. So once again, thanks to Lynn. I will keep this session open for just a little while longer, maybe a half hour or so. So if you want to just hang around and kind of have open networking as if we were still in the library and just chit-chatting after the meeting, that's what that session is for. So I will officially end the meeting now and say goodbye, everybody.